So now we are going to start our first lecture of this session, that is on the specific heat of solids. And the specific heat of solids will consist of few parts, and this is the first part of my lecture. You are already familiar with the first law of thermodynamics. Then when we give heat to the system, when we heat a system, then this heat is used to increase the internal energy of the system and also to increase the volume of the system. And in case of gases, the increase of volume is quite large, while in case of solids, and if the solid is quite rigid, then the increase in volume is almost negligible, and all the energy given to the system is used to increase the internal energy of the system. And this energy, internal energy of the system, is a function of temperature and volume. So we can write down this as partial derivative, okay, as partial derivative of temperature and volume in the equation 2. So from the equation 1, I am just showing that the total energy given to the system is dq, and dE is the increase in internal energy, and P is the pressure, and dV is the increase in volume. Okay, and this is resulting in increase in the internal energy dE, and dE is a function of E, T and V. And if we write down in terms of partial derivative, we can write down del E by del T dt at constant volume, and del E by del VT at constant temperature and constant volume. So if we substitute the value of dq uh, if we write down the value of dq, combine equation number 1 and 2, we get the equation number 3. In the equation number 1, we substitute the value of dE from equation number 2. Okay, and we put together terms with dt and put together terms with dv. So we get the equation number 3. And if we take the part, this is the energy given to the system, and this is the energy increase in the internal energy. Now, when we give energy to a system, why there is an increase in internal energy? That is the question. You see that all materials, they consist of atoms, okay? And you know the all atoms at the above the 0 degree Kelvin, the atoms are in the vibrating state. And when we give the energy to the system, the atoms vibrate more rigorously, okay? And the more rigorous vibration give rise to the increase of internal energy of the system. So basically this increase is mainly because of the thermal vibration and due to the increase in the amplitude of thermal vibration, or we can call it as lattice vibration. Okay, so 1 minute. Yeah, I think some. So now you need dq, and if we take dq as a function of temperature, partial derivative as this, from this equation, this is dq by del q by del t. This is defined as Cv, constant volume heat capacity, and it is equal to del E by del T at constant volume. Because if in this equation we keep the volume constant, this term will not come into the picture. We have only this. Okay, so we get del Q by del T at constant volume, which is defined as Cv, and it is equal to del E by del TV. And you know that this is the specific heat, and specific heat is defined as the amount of energy required to increase the temperature of a system, increase the temperature of 1 gram of the substance by 1 degree Kelvin. And this definition is quite obvious from this equation number 4. But these are very elementary thing. And once we have Cv, we can find out the value of Cp also. And generally, the Cv is more important because we can measure it more easily. And from second law of thermodynamics, I will not go into like much details. You have already done in the undergraduate. Cp minus Cv can be written down as minus T del V upon del T square at constant pressure and del P upon del V. This is equation number 5. And we can write down the Cp minus Cv in terms of alpha V, which is volume expansion coefficient, and compressibility K. Okay, because the volume expansion coefficient is related to del V by del T, and the compressibility is related to del V by del P. So if we find out the value of del V by del P and del V upon del T in terms of alpha V and K and substitute in the equation number 5, we get Cp minus Cv as alpha V square Tv upon K. And this expansion coefficient alpha is positive. Since alpha, it is alpha square, it is positive, and compressibility K is positive. So Cp minus Cv from this equation, the Cp minus Cv is either equal to or greater than 0. Now, if we are at very, very low temperature, suppose we talk about 0 degree Kelvin, then if we put this equal to 0, Cp will become equal to Cv. This difference will be negligible and it is both are almost nearly equal to 0. And if we move away above the 0 degree Kelvin, the Cp minus Cv is proportional to T. It is also clear from this, it is proportional to T. Okay, so they almost vary linearly with the temperature. And you know that when I talk about when we give energy to the system, the first is the system will vibrate more rigorously, as I told you. But in case of metals and semiconductor, they also have contribution to from the electronic system. They have free electrons or the electrons in the conduction band, and this electron will go to the higher state, and this contribution is usually much smaller than the lattice contribution. So in this unit, or mostly we will talk about the contribution from the atomic vibrations or lattice vibration. We will neglect the contribution from electronic system. Okay, and maybe in the subsequent units we will discuss about the contribution from electronic system separately and its effect on the heat capacity also. So if we see the curve, the variation of heat capacity as a function of temperature, at low temperature at 0 degree Kelvin, it is almost 0. And when we increase the temperature, it is almost linearly varies with the temperature. But at higher temperature, it becomes Cp is higher than Cv. I told you that Cp minus Cv is either greater than or equal to 0. And at higher temperature, it is almost constant. And the value is given by Dulong-Pettit law from the classical theory of the heat capacity. And this law says that the value of heat capacity at higher temperature is equal to 6 calorie per mole per degree for all the elements, for all the systems. It gives the same value 6 calorie per mole per degree. And this is law known as Dulong-Pettit law. And this is from classical theory. Now, in some substances like ferromagnetic material or ferroelectric material, when we increase the temperature, the heat capacity curve shows a bump. Okay, you see there is a sharp increase in the heat capacity at a particular temperature. Basically, in case of ferromagnetic material, it is a Curie temperature. Around Curie temperature, heat capacity shows an anomalous behavior. And this is due to phase transition from first phase to another, from ferromagnetic phase to paramagnetic phase. As you know that above Curie temperature, the ferromagnetic materials are converts into paramagnetic material. So basically this is ordered disordered transition. The ferromagnetic state is ordered state. All the spins are aligned in the same direction in a particular domain. While in case of paramagnetic material, the spins are randomly oriented. So if there is a bump or sudden change in the heat capacity curve, it is generally associated with some phase transition or some phenomena, some physical phenomena. Okay. So it means if we can measure heat capacity as a function of temperature, so experimentally we can get information about the possible transitions in the system. Okay. And there are various theories for lattice heat capacity. Okay. Starting with classical theory that you have already, I think you know about classical theory, Dulong-Pettit law, and I will continue about classical theory tomorrow in more detail. And basically the vibration, what we considered a linear chain of n atoms, and we consider the vibrations of these n atoms. And we calculate the energy of this, treating each atom as a harmonic oscillator, and we calculate the energy of an n harmonic oscillator in one dimension. And when we go for three-dimensional case, which is the actual system, it is a three-dimensional case, Thus, there are, rather than n harmonic oscillator, there are 3n oscillator. Okay. And there are different theories, and the difference between different theories is basically how we calculate the frequency spectrum of the oscillator. That is the main difference. And this difference results into different theories. The first one is Dulong-Petit law. Second is the theory was given by Einstein theory. Third is there were some shortcomings of classical theory. Then Einstein theory came into the picture. Further, there were some other shortcomings of Einstein theory. Debye theory came into the picture. And again, there were some shortcomings of Debye theory. Then it was modified by Born, and that is called Born's modification to the Debye theory. So we will do all one by one. We will discuss shortcomings of different theories and how these shortcomings were improved by the other model, and what are the approximation of other model, why there was a requirement for the next one. Okay, so we will discuss all these things in subsequent lectures.